Welcome, one and all. My name is Dee Christopher. I'm joined by my good friend Lewis Laval, and together we're going to take you through everything that you need to know to get the most out of the Eclipse deck. Inside of the box, you've received a marked ESP deck along with a few gaffs, and the best thing about this is the versatility. This marking system can not only be read from close up, it can be read from very, very far away. And despite it being so bold and obvious to you, it's completely invisible to everyone else. So, without further ado, let's move straight into what you get inside the box, and then we'll talk about a load of routines.
Sounds fun.
A load. Lots of them.
Wonderful. And the marking system.
And the marking system as well. I should probably teach you how to read that first, eh?
Yeah. Should we do that now?
After what's in the box.
And then we'll do that.
Cut. Welcome back after that short commercial break. Let's go into what's inside the box, shall we? So inside of the box, there's a smaller box. This smaller box is made of the same high quality art card that you will find all of our packaging is made from. The reason we went with a plain box is because everybody's different. Most ESP decks on the market are either in some kind of box that explains it's a magic trick, or they're in some kind of pseudo-scientific institute of research, and that's not right for everybody. Certainly not right for us.
Nope.
So people that have a more mystical way of performing can use these. People that have a more psychological way of performing can use these, and people that just like a little bit of mystery can also use these. Simplicity is key. So when you open up the box, you'll find inside a deck of plastic cards rather than paper cards. Again, this is just for versatility and longevity more than anything. Both of us performed in bars for years, and sticky tables don't work too well with paper cards. They get destroyed very, very quickly. So using these matte plastic cards, they're just as thin as playing cards. They behave pretty much exactly the same, but they're just going to be wipeable and they're not going to get destroyed after your first gig, which is pretty good, I think.
So they'll last a long time?
Yeah.
More or less forever if you take care of them?
100%. Like, I've used the same Eclipse deck for about 5 years. I released a very small number of these on my personal website a long time ago now. And they've been unavailable forever. There was only about 50 of them done in the world. So yeah, now we're bringing them to a wider market after many, many years of perfecting everything about them. So yeah, you get your ESP deck. An ESP deck is essentially a deck of cards which has symbols, 5 sets of 5 symbols making up a 25 card deck, and these are the 5 symbols. So you've got a circle, a cross, 3 wavy lines, a square, and a 5-pointed star representing the numbers 1 through 5. So you get 5 sets of 5 cards. You get this, which has got all of the 5 symbols printed across it. On the back there is the 3 wavy lines. That's used for the opening routine, alongside these 2 cards, which are double faces, which cover the other 4 outs. We'll go into all the routines and stuff afterwards, but I just want to show you what you get first. As well as those little gaffs, you also get a double back These are great for a number of routines. One of my favourite routines is Paul Gordon's Muldoon Match, and that uses a double backer, so I definitely wanted to include one in there. And yeah, aside from that, just the standard ESP deck, but all of the cards in the deck are marked using the Eclipse marking system, and that's what we'll talk about in just a moment, because it's very sneaky.
Oh, it's good.
But it's very, very easy to use, so you're going to love it. So let's move straight into that one, eh? Okay, time for the big reveal.
Let's do this.
Let's talk about the marking system. Who's found it so far? Show of hands?
Took me a while.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. It was hilarious when we were shooting Prohibition Monty. I was doing distance reading with Alan, and he thought somebody was coding it to me. For the life of him, couldn't figure out how I was reading marks that he couldn't see from like the other side of the room. Yeah. And it's all down to this, and I'll explain, once I've explained the system, I'll explain why you can read it from such a big distance as well as so close up, because you might think, well, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that. You will be able to do it.
Yeah, it's so easy.
I'll explain why. So let's talk about the marking system. So the first thing you need to know is that these circles here, which are in approximately the same position as on a bicycle playing card, you know, with the little angels riding their little bicycles. We again went for a very simplistic back design here, so it's still got elements of standard playing cards, bit of sacred geometry, and just a very nice, simple, classy design. But these circles, so whether it's this way or this way, both got the same marking. It's the circles that code you what it is. So you'll notice that on this card, the circle gets very thick, well, not very thick, thick enough at the top. Whereas on this card, the circle gets quite thick over on this side, in the 3 o'clock position, if you think about it as a clock. 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock. The next card gets very thick in the 6 o'clock position. The next gets very thick in the 9 o'clock position. And the final card doesn't have any thickness at all, but he doesn't feel left out.
Yeah, total eclipse.
Yeah. So that tells you essentially that these cards are numbered 1 through 5. The ESP symbols are considered as representative of the numbers 1 through 5. The circle is known as the number 1 because there is one line in a circle. The cross is number 2 because there are 2 lines. There are 3 wavy lines here. That represents 3, of course. There are 4 sides to a square, so that's number 4. And there are 5 points to the star, so that's number 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you're just going around the clock. 12, 3, 6, 9, none.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's the marking system.
Yeah, so essentially, if we take the circle, for example, we know the circle is number 1 in the set of ESP cards. So the first sort of marking, so I see them as like this is the first marking, the second marking, the third, the fourth, and the fifth is none. So I see the circle thicker in the first position for the first marking. That's how I know it's the circle. And then, yeah, so it's just kind of like, maybe that's why you called it Eclipse. Because it looks like the moon going in front of the sun, and you get the...
That was exactly why.
Makes perfect sense to me now. It's baffled me for months.
Yeah, that's where it came from. I was literally sitting on my couch, and like a lightning flash, I saw an eclipse in my head, and I was like, I wonder if that could be used for a marking system. Literally, the idea came to me fully formed. It was very, very bizarre.
A gift from the gods.
Yeah, so I just tried it by making some little circles on Photoshop, and it turned out really well. And it's super baffling, fools everybody. That's how the marking system works. So, of course, when you're close to it, it's very easy to see. People that are looking at the cards will not see anything because it's not like a speed reader or anything like that. The backs are so plain and so simple that they simply can't see anything. When you're reading it from a distance, though, it's very interesting because you will have seen in the trailer that little clip of us when we were shooting Rooster.
Yeah.
He was going through the cards. I was looking through a mirror on the other end of the room and reading the markings. And the thing with that, I can't focus at that distance. I don't think anyone can unless they're long-sighted, right? But because of the nature of how the markings work, because it's just about thickness, even if your eyes are out of focus, even if they're a bit blurry, you can still understand how...
Yeah, because you're not reading like a pattern or a shape or a number or something like that. It's just the thickness of the circle.
Yeah, exactly. So you can always tell which is the heavier side of the circle. And if there is no heavier side of the circle...
It's just so
it's
clear.
The star.
Yeah.
It's a killer. You can literally, stick it on the other end of the room and you can read what it is. Try it. Just close your eyes, shuffle them up, take one, stick it on the wall, open your eyes, see if you can tell what it is. That's the waves, by the way.
And so it is.
Yeah. So there you go. That's the marking system. That's the most fun thing about this, is just being able to do ridiculous things, sticking it on the other side of the room. I can't wait to take this to conventions. Like, we were at a convention a couple of weeks ago, and I wasn't allowed to show anyone. So.
But now you can.
But now I can. So yeah, that's the marking system. We'll talk about tricks. Hey?
One final thing about the marking system. What I really like about this is your eyes don't need to scan the entire back of the card. You don't need to look over here and then here. It's just your eye, so you can even read them faster. So not only can you read them at a distance, but you can also read them faster, at one glance, because you only ever need to bring your eyes to the circle on the back of the card, and then you've got it. So it's not like you're looking at both, you don't have to see both circles or anything else. It's just bring your eyes straight to one point, and then you've got it instantly. I love that.
Yeah, it does make things a lot easier. Like I've used a lot of different ESP cards over the years, and while I think some of the marking systems are absolutely brilliant, for me, I just found them a bit difficult to catch straight away.
This is literally instantly.
Yeah, and that was totally by accident, but happy days. That's it.
That's it.
See you next time.
Yeah, I'm going over.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go into tricks. We shot a little 25-minute act when we were shooting Iris, because the girl there was super into the mentalism stuff. Yeah. So I thought, well, let's do the Eclipse act. So at the end of all of this, I'll show you how to set up the deck, so that if you do want to do it, all of the effects one after another as a full little close-up show, parlor show, you can. But yeah, you've got to start somewhere. So let's talk about the ESP opener.
Let's do it.
Well, thank you very much for joining me. Tonight we are going to be playing a few games to test your intuition, but also probably in a more sinister way than the games you're used to. We're going to be testing my ability to influence you.
Wow, okay.
All of these tests will revolve around a set of 5 symbols. We'll come back to the envelopes later. These 5 symbols here: a circle, a cross, a wavy lines, a square, and a star. Have you ever seen those symbols in that kind of sequence before?
No.
They were used to test psychic ability. One of these symbols would be printed on a card. It would be held with its back facing someone that claimed to be psychic, and the psychic would have to guess what symbol is on the reverse.
Okay.
So if I was to ask you to name any of the symbols in front of you, which one would it be?
This one?
The wavy lines?
Yeah.
And you could have chosen any of the symbols, I guess.
Yeah.
I mentioned that these were used to test psychic ability, that they would be held with the back facing the person claiming to be psychic, and they would have to guess what's on the reverse. Do you want to turn that card over?
Wait, what? How? Like, what?
Okay, so that live performance went really well.
Yeah.
This is a multiple out routine. There are 2 different ways that it can go, and the way that it went was the #1 super hit that I love because you don't have to do anything. There is another outcome, however. If they choose one of the other symbols, it doesn't matter which one, something else will happen. So I wanted to show you very quickly with Lewis here how that looks before we go into the method. So inside of this envelope, I have a card.
Mm-hmm.
This card has all 5 ESP symbols printed across it. Before we go into anything else, I want you just to touch any of them, the one that seems most interesting to you.
Circle.
The circle.
Mm-hmm.
There is one other thing inside of this envelope. I'll be as clean as I possibly can. It is
Perfect.
the circle, and there is nothing else inside of there.
Nice.
And then this goes like so, and I'm reset. Okay, so let's talk about that little opening effect that you just saw. Well, you saw it ages ago,
I did.
but that they just saw. So for this, all you need is the double facer gaffs and the 5 symbols gaff, which has got the waves on the back. As you've probably guessed, I was awfully lucky during that performance, and that is the best outcome. This is essentially a multiple out. All 4 outs, aside from the waves, play exactly the same.
Yeah.
So you're going to get that more often than not. But when you do hit on the waves, it's lovely.
Perfect. Yeah.
And the line that I use, you will have noticed, is please place your finger down on any one of these symbols, the one that seems most interesting to you. Now, to everyone else listening, you're simply asking someone to choose a symbol, but the person that you're speaking to, you're saying, which one is the most interesting symbol to you? And of course, the one symbol that they won't have ever seen before, the one that is inherently more interesting, is of course the waves. That's why it lives on the back.
So essentially, before the routine even begins, you're giving yourself a chance to get the best case scenario.
Yeah.
And if they point to any of the others, it doesn't matter because you're covered anyway.
Exactly. So to be covered, you need to either construct or buy a double envelope, or if you've got a Himba wallet or something like that, you can use that. I'm going to show you how to construct the simplest double envelope in the world. But our good friend Alan Wong makes some really nice double envelopes, which I would recommend. They're not very expensive at all. So to make a double envelope, you need 2 envelopes. We're going to be sticking them top to bottom, back to back. Like this, essentially.
Yeah. So on one of them, you've got the opening at the bottom. On the other, you've got the opening at the top. and they're going to go back to back so that you end up with a sort of, you can open it that side, and when you flip it over you can open it that side. Is that right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's just quickly stick these together. Of course, in real life you'd be a lot more neat and caring, but I just want to show you this very quickly using some double-sided tape.
Just for clarity, this is double-sided tape.
Yeah. This is used for sticking pasties onto nipples generally, but today we're sticking envelopes onto envelopes.
Okay, so you've put 2 strips of this on the back of one envelope.
Exactly.
And then peeled the backing off.
Yep. So you'll be able to see it on the close-up camera. We've got a strip of tape there, strip of tape there. The opening for this envelope is over here. So the opening for this envelope is going on the opposite side. I'm going to try and line these up as perfectly as I can and just stick them down. And it's useful to have some way to tell which envelope is which. So I like to...
Which side is which?
Yes, which side is which. So I like to just make a little mark there. I'm not sure how clearly you can see that on the camera, but all I've done is taken my nail and just ripped that a little bit. So it's very, very clear to me. This is the front, what I'm considering the front. This is the back, what I'm considering the back. So we're going to be loading these into the envelope. So we've got 2 symbols together, a circle and a square. 2 symbols together, a cross and a star. The reason the cross and the star are together is that they're both very pointy. So you know
the pointy shapes are both
the pointy shapes are both there, and the circle and the square are very similar shapes. They're much softer. Yeah. So the circle and the square are going to go circle up where the marking is, where the little rip is. And you can mark the envelopes in any way you see fit, but I just do that little rip.
And you just need to remember that you've put it with the circle facing up. And we had a really clever way of remembering that. It was just, you look up at the moon, so with the moon being round and it looking like a circle, you know that the circle is on top. Yep. Just an easy way of remembering which side is which.
Yeah. It's very useful when you haven't performed this particular trick for a long time. You can jump straight at it. And the same mnemonic, not really a mnemonic, acts for this. So the star, you look up at the stars.
And that's how you remember that you've placed the star facing up. Yeah, so the way I see it is, the only way I can open this side of the envelope is like this. So if I know that we look up at the stars, I know that if I pull this out like this, the star is going to be what's visible. And then if I've got this the other way round, again, the only way I can access the card in this side now is through here, and we look up at the moon, so I know that when I take this card out, the circle is going to be the one that's facing up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about the handling in a second, but before we do, in the circle side, the ripped side, the front, I'm going to place this on top. So just to pull this out, so this is going to go on top. So when I put my fingers in, this is the first card that is going to be pulled out. Because if you do get the wavy lines, of course you don't want to think that there's something else inside the envelope, right? So yeah, just to reiterate that setup, we've stuck these 2 envelopes together, upside down, back to back. Inside the front portion, which I've marked in some way, from the top down, I've got the 5 symbol card with the 5 symbols face up. Then I've got the circle, the moon, face up. On the other side, the non-marked side, the back, I just have one card, and that is the star and cross. And because we look up at the star is facing upwards. So, it's obvious how you get the symbol out if it is the star or the circle, but how do you get the symbol out if it's the other one? So the way that I do it, it's very simple. I will pick up the envelope in the appropriate manner. So if I've got it facing front side up, I place my hand down on top, drag it to the end of the table, and just turn my hand over so that that's at the top. Easy, right? One more time.
So right now, at the moment, you know that because of the marking here on the envelope, if you were to open this, the circle is there, but you need the
star for instance. Yeah. So I come over, close that opening, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's not even a move. It's literally that. And usually I have it under a glass anyway, so that provides me even more misdirection, but you're in the middle of talking at this point anyway. So yes, if it's the star, I can pull it out here. If it's the cross, or of course the square on the other side, you're just going to squeeze a little bit. Allow your finger to pull out the first part of the card. We don't want to pull it out too far because that will reveal the symbol. So just a little bit of the blank, and then you're going to turn the envelope like that and show them there's nothing else inside the envelope.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. So if it's the cross, we go like this, open that up with a thumb, come inside, pull that, and there's nothing else inside the envelope. Envelope goes away. Done and dusted.
Yeah, nice. It's so simple. It's so straightforward. Once you give it a minute or two to
over-explaining
the symbols are. Yeah.
I'd rather over-explain it than under-explain it. But whichever multiple out solution you like to use, whether it's a Himba wallet, whether it's Lewis Laval's Orphic wallet, which you'll find out more about soon, or anything else, whether it's one of Alan Wong's double envelopes or somebody else's double envelope, it'll always work the same.
Yeah. Okay, so just quickly then, you've brought this envelope out, you've introduced the experiment or what it is that you're going to be doing. What happens next? You're reaching into the envelope to remove the card with the symbols on?
Yep. So I'm looking at the front of the envelope. I'm going to squeeze.
Yeah.
Let friction pull out this card.
Yeah, and I imagine being careful not to flash the back.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And then I place this down on the table. I say in the show, which is very nice if you're doing all of these tricks together, we'll come back to the envelopes in a minute. And later on, we do come back to the envelopes, and
because of the other routines.
Yeah, but if you need to come back to this envelope to show one of the outs, you've said we're going to go back to the envelope. And
if they end up choosing the wavy lines, you've said we'll come back to the envelopes in a bit. They've chosen the wavy lines, like if they do, and you've got your reveal, but then you can go back to the envelope just to put the card away.
Yeah. I mean,
even if you were just doing this as your opener. And I think this is beautiful. You can approach your group, place one envelope down on the table. Already you've got their attention, then you just go into this beautiful routine. Yeah, super simple. Like I wanted to open an ESP set with literally the simplest thing I possibly could. And the simplest thing that you can possibly do is say, choose one of those symbols. They choose one. You reveal that you knew which one they'd choose. Yeah. I mean, it's a 30-second trick. A way that I've been doing this without putting the envelope on the table. So I've introduced the envelope, bring this card, which can just go down. Because again, if the table's wet, I don't want to get this wet or anything like that. So I keep it in my hand. This is in my right hand, so if I need to, I can just go straight into here to remove this card. Or if I need to turn it over, as I'm talking to them, I just pick this up and hold it up as I gesture to the envelope and talk about one card being left inside. And now I've just turned it over. So that again, this is the marked side of the envelope. I can open this and remove it this way if I need to, or remove the card and turn it over in the same way that Dee explained. Or if I just need to turn the envelope over, I'm closing the envelope, bringing it up as I shake it like this, talk about it, and now I've essentially that's all I'm doing. I'm just turning the envelope over by picking it up. As I continue to talk to my spectator, I can reach inside and then do whatever I need to do to remove the correct symbol. And that'd be a nice way of doing the envelope turnover, essentially, if this was in your hands, rather than it being on a table.
Yeah, that's a good shout. That's another thing. I know a lot of people walk around.
Yeah.
And some of these tricks I tend to use on a table, but some of them you can use walk around as well.
It's perfect for me because this is plastic. I don't mind this going on a sticky table. I don't really want to ruin my envelope, so I can just keep it in my hand. It doesn't move. Nothing fishy is going on. It just stays there whilst I'm talking to them. If you get that really clean reveal of so if they choose the wavy lines, you've got that, and then you can put this straight back in. If they choose either the circle or the square, I've got that here. And if they choose the star or the plus, as I'm talking to them, it's the easiest thing in the world. And you'll even find yourself thinking, I can't believe I just got away with that.
It's like Ben Earl's coin switch, where he's holding the coin there and then goes like that.
It just feels really nice to do, and it just flows as well.
Yeah. And, the beauty here is as soon as this card goes back inside the envelope, instantly reset, goes back in the pocket, takes up no space. So even if you were only going to do one ESP trick, I mean, that's pretty, it's a banger.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. Because,
especially if you get the waves.
Even if in the rest of your set you're not using any ESP symbols, you're introducing mind reading or influence or whatever it is that you do, that you claim, you're introducing this in just the simplest way. You're not going straight in with having them think of names and star sign. It's like, let's keep this simple. A very quick introduction of the shapes and what they were used for, or what you use them for. They've named one, and then there it is, and this just can go straight back into your pocket. I think it's wonderful.
Wonderful, do you?
well, what you could even do, let's say you had one spectator that you wanted to use for another routine. Let's say you've pre-showed them, or you're going to do some hypnosis, or you've already forced something. You could bring these out and say, now, we will be trying an experiment in a moment, but this will only work with the most intuitive person among you. So let's say I've got 3 people in front of me and I know I've forced something on this person for another routine. I can let these other spectators get it wrong. Name one,
great.
Name one, okay, that's fine, but what would you go for? And now it doesn't matter what they say, because it's going to be right, because I've got all of the outs.
Yeah, that's a killer.
So it's like, okay, you're clearly the most intuitive person here, I'm going to do this with you, and I've pre-showed them, or I've forced something, or I've whatever, and that gives me an excuse to use that person, not any of the other 2.
Yeah, that's a killer. I'm going to do that. Yeah, for sure. See, this is the good thing when we start filming in front of a camera and all of this.
All the ideas come out.
Yeah. Because he hadn't told me anything about that.
Yeah, and that's the thing as well, don't overlook this. It's a great opener. It's really simple. And if you think about it, it might seem a little too sick, because the method's just so easy. It's practically self-working.
It's stupid.
But like, if you just let this be the first moment, this is their first glimpse at what you do. And in the rest of your act, it's going to get better, whether you continue to use the ESP routines or your own ESP routines, or if not, if this just goes straight back into your pocket. It's just a little moment, it's just something. And it's not unbelievable, it's not wildly out there, so they're not going to instantly deny your claims.
It's definitely a good way to open up that connection. We've spoken enough about that, I think. We've been going on and on and on. It's just a mouthful out.
It's just nice though, yeah, but it's nice.
But yeah, it is a really solid way to open. And, you can see it worked beautifully when we shot that, because she did choose the symbol that I willed her to choose.
Yeah.
But even if she didn't, she would have still got a killer effect.
Yeah, totally.
So let's move on. Let's talk about another trick, eh? We'll use one of each symbol for this. Cross, wave, circle, star, square. I'm going to turn these around. And I'd like you to mix them up as much as you can, so none of us know which symbol is in which position.
Okay.
You can then collect them up into a little pile. Perfect, and keep them face down. I remember when I was younger, I used to collect paranormal magazines.
Yeah.
I'd buy them from second-hand bookshops so I could read through the stories. And one story that really stood out to me was about a little girl who couldn't see, but she could tell the time on a gentleman's watch just by touching the face. Now, whether she was just very good at estimating the time based on what was going on around her, or whether it was real psychic ability, I don't think we'll ever know. But it's a really fascinating concept. 5 symbols mixed into a random order by you, just with the fingertips. That's a cross, correct?
Yeah.
A star. A circle. And this will be the last one. This is a bit difficult. The waves, and of course the square. Yeah, feel them. It's just ink.
Oh my gosh. How?
Here, let's try this. We'll use the square, the waves, and the star. These two will place here. Do you want to pick those up and mix them up underneath the table if you could?
Right, okay.
Yeah, just keep them all face down, mix them up underneath the table. And when you're done, you can take that envelope and place them inside the envelope underneath the table, face down, so neither of us know which order the cards are in. And you can pass that to me underneath the table. This is just so there's no way that I can be accused of cheating. If I don't see even the envelope, I'll never be able to tell what symbols are in what order. I believe, top to bottom, we've got the waves, the square, and then the star. The waves, the square, and then the star. Let's try one more thing with these. This time I'm going to do it without touching anything. So again, mix them around as much as you would like and then split them into a nice set of 3 cards in front of you. Okay, I'll do this. In a moment, I'm going to ask you to pick up one of the cards and place it. Do you have pockets?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Okay. I'm going to ask you to place one of the cards into your left-hand pocket. Don't look at the symbol, don't look at the face. Just without looking, take a card and place it inside. And again, you can mix these cards around. And now take one of the cards and without looking, place it in your right hand pocket. And the final symbol you can just hold in between your hands like this. Okay, a little bit closer, perfect. This is the square, I believe. Open your hands.
No way.
And we'll try and do these simultaneously. You can place your hands on the table, it's fine, wherever's comfortable. Mm-hmm. I'm going to do this at a distance. We have the waves over here and the star is over here. Do you want to take them out?
Oh my gosh.
Excellent. Okay, so this is Sensor. This was based off a colour sensing routine I used to do with playing cards using a shiner and nail nicks and all sorts of stuff, but that's not important. What is important is what you will need if you want to perform this trick. You'll need your Eclipse deck. You'll need 2 perfectly normal envelopes. From your Eclipse deck, you want to take 1 of each symbol. And also you will need 3 duplicate symbols. I use the cross, the waves, and the square. These go in that order, the order 2, 3, 4. Face down into one of the envelopes. That envelope goes underneath my leg. If you're doing this walk around, you could stick it in your back pocket and get them to give you the cards behind your back or something and switch them that way. Mm-hmm. But I do it over a table. So I've got my envelope set up there. I've got 1 other normal envelope, which could be just in my pocket, or it could be with a stack of envelopes if I'm doing other envelope stuff, and the 5 symbols. I will hand the 5 symbols to my lovely assistant. They will shuffle them up. And it's going to be my job. I, of course, tell the story about the little girl who used to be able to tell the time by touching a gentleman's watch and, you know, all of that kind of stuff. I did used to collect those unexplained magazines, but I never read it inside there. I think I heard Darren Brown talk about it when he was doing some kind of seeing with the fingertips thing. So they've given me a mixed up stack of the 5 symbols. I don't need to worry about this one here, and I don't need to worry about looking at it yet. All I'm going to do is hold them like so in a kind of long edge biddle grip type thing.
Yeah.
But I'm holding this in front of my face, so this creates a really nice frame for like parlor and stuff like that, or if you're...
So the faces of these are facing the audience, the backs are facing you.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know which symbol this is, but what I'm going to do is start feeling with my fingertips as if I'm trying to sense what's on the other side, and I'll allow the friction from my finger to pull this card over a little bit. So now this exposes the marking. So now I know that this symbol on the face, this is position 3 that it's marked in, 6 o'clock, that means it's the waves. So I know that this symbol that I'm feeling is the waves. So often, and this was Lewis's suggestion, I kind of move my fingers in the shape of the waves, or if it's a cross, I'd move my fingers like this or whatever. It creates, it's almost like some kind of theatrical moment.
Yeah, it's as though you're somehow feeling.
So then I'll announce this is the waves, and I'll toss it down. Then straight away I'll pull this one across, and I'll blatantly look as I'm pulling it across, because apparently I've got to do all of this to get the symbol, so it doesn't matter if I'm just doing this, that's irrelevant. So now I know that this is the star because I've just peeked the symbol again. Head turned away. Oh, there's a lot of ink on this one. It must be the star. I explain it's the star. I pull the next symbol across, and you'll notice I'm not being like sneaky about this or anything. I am literally just
right there,
pulling it out, and I'm looking at it as I'm doing it, because now I've established the fact that I've got to do this to know what the symbol is. Otherwise, why would I be doing this?
Yeah, it'd be different if you were doing this and then staring at it, but you're looking away.
Yeah.
Like they don't know you've seen it in that second. Yeah.
Exactly. I just pull it over, plot the mark in, and you can get these markings so rapidly.
Yeah, it just takes a glance.
Yeah, just like that. And now I'm going to begin. So now I know this is the cross. So I'm going to go, oh, yeah, I think this is the cross. And the final one, you've got two options. So either you can look at the back card, which the back card is, of course, a square, and look at the symbols on the table, and that'll tell you that the missing symbol is the circle.
You know what's on the table, you know what's on the back, so there's only one symbol the one on the face could possibly be.
But personally, I mean, you might want to do that if you want to look super clean. Personally,
just do the move again.
I just do the thing again, and it's like, oh, it's a circle. Then I'm not going to bother remembering what symbols have come out already. I've not got to bother looking at anything.
Yeah.
I just do the exact same thing again. It's the circle, which means that the final one must be the square.
Yeah. And if you're worried about, so when you get down to those final two, you've still been able to reveal 4 of them, but then there's no kind of reveal for this one. I like I've seen you do this in the past. Once you've got that symbol, you've then separated them and then say, okay, this is this and this is this. And then it feels like that final card has a mention rather than it just being the only one left. I think that's really nice. Yeah,
cool. Yeah, I mean, you can play that in a multitude of ways. It really doesn't matter. Whatever feels right to you. I mean, my expectation with teaching all of these sort of effects and methods is I'd expect people to take it in their own way. I mean, I know whenever we're working on stuff with Jack or with Alex or anyone else, we might have a method and a routine as a starting point that one of us has shared with the other, and then it goes in a completely different direction when you actually start playing with it and doing it in your style. So I'm hoping that that's what's going to happen with these, because it's a very versatile tool. I mean, really, we could have just given you the deck and taught you how to use it, and there's hundreds of ESP routines out there, but my big thing is I love when people create their own stuff.
Once they've been shuffled and handed back to you, you could just fan them out like this. There's enough of all of the circles on the back, and then you can just name them out loud as you hold these facing your spectator, and then you can just start naming them. Like that, because you can just see all the markings there.
Yeah, if you wanted to do it like that, you can do it like that. So that's the first phase. Super simple. I'm touching the faces. That's what's giving me the information, apparently.
Yeah.
In reality, I'm reading the marks. So let's move on to the second phase. Okay, so second phase. This is when the envelope comes into play. So remember, underneath my leg, I have an envelope that has 3 cards already inside it. It's got the cross, symbol number 2, the waves, symbol number 3, and the square, symbol number 4.
Yeah.
These go face down inside the envelope. Envelope gets closed, goes underneath my leg, or if you're doing it walk around, it goes.
And that's really the only setup for this.
Yeah, that's it. And I have that there Well, when we were doing the entire show start to finish, I just had that there from the start of the show.
Or if you're standing up, it could just be in your back pocket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've just sensed these 5 symbols, so now we're just going to take 3 of them out. Can you believe it? We're taking out the cross, the waves, the square. So we'll just do this with 3 symbols, and I'll hand this to them, and I'll say, underneath the table, I want you to start mixing these up. So they get mixed up underneath the table, and then I'll pull out my envelope, or take it from the stack, and I blatantly crush it open like that. And I'll hand that to them and say, so that you can't see the faces of the symbols, place them face down inside that envelope. So I'm making it very clear that they're placing the cards in the correct orientation so that it matches my sneaky envelope, right?
And one thing you've just said there is you're crushing the envelope open because realistically, people are useless with their hands. If you give them a perfectly flat envelope, you've got them fiddling. Whereas if you've done that to the envelope, I mean, they can't go wrong.
You want to make the process as easy as possible for them because then they're more likely to do it right.
Yeah. Okay, so I've mixed the cards. I've put them in the envelope
and
under
this
the table.
is all happening under the table. I'll say, now, I don't want to see this at all. So I want you to hand it to me underneath the table. And you'll notice that I go down like this. And with this hand, I steal this envelope here. With my other hand, I take the envelope off them.
This would be under the table.
Yeah, so this is my sneaky envelope. I come like this, and then I just switch these around and bring it up like so. And then this just goes back underneath the leg. And I can hold this over my head, or I can keep it underneath the table, or I can do whatever I want. But really, the goal is I'm trying to feel now the energy from these cards rather than seeing the faces of the cards. And it's obviously more difficult because you've got 3 separate cards in there giving off 3 different vibrations, if that's the way you want to play it. And I can't see the faces or backs of any of them. So this goes like this. I'm feeling this. I believe, and I'll toss the envelope down or keep it in my hand, making sure that the flap is facing up, because then the cards are facing down. I believe that top to bottom, face down, we have the cross, the waves, the square. I bring these out straight away, toss the envelope aside, the cross, the waves, the square, the cross, the waves, the square. And the way that I say that is very important because you're saying the names of these symbols constantly throughout an ESP act. So I need to give them something that they can easily recognize and remember, and it's the rhythmic.
It's like a memorable rhythm. The cross, the waves, the square. The cross, the waves, the square.
Yeah, so I just keep those, the reveal and the...
So the prediction and the reveal are so close together with the same sort of rhythmic pattern. Yeah,
it just makes it a lot easier, and they know then to be amazed. Without having to try and figure something out. Right? So yeah, that's phase 2. So now, of course, I'm left with these symbols in an envelope underneath my leg. I'll usually just move that to my pocket during some kind of lull or something like that. Or I can just keep them under my leg if I'm going to be sat at the table until the very end, until I pack everything away. It really doesn't matter because it's only 3 symbols out of a 25 symbol deck. And the ones that were in the set of 5 have been replaced now. So yeah, that just stays away. We don't need to ever see it again.
And if you're doing that with your back pocket rather than under the table, it's the exact same thing. I'd mix them up, put them in the envelope. I'd like you to hand me them behind my back. And then they hand them behind your back as you just put them into your back pocket and take the other one out. As you're saying something along the lines of, the reason for handing them behind my back is because I don't want you to think I can somehow see through the envelopes. But in fact, let's keep them here, and you can just... Realistically, the best way to do this is under the table, but it can be done behind your back. Just talk whilst you swap the envelopes in your pockets. Say whatever you like, whatever fits your presentation.
Yeah,
And
it's
the
super
same
easy.
thing.
There's tons of ways of doing it.
Even, I mean, if you're in a restaurant and there's a menu on the table, you could do like an under the menu switch and...
Yeah, under someone's jacket. But yeah, I mean, that's irrelevant anyway. So that's how you do phase 2. You've got the envelope underneath your leg. You swap it when they hand it you underneath the table. You just need to make sure they mix up the symbols, they place it into the envelope face down, and everything that you do during that routine leads them to do that.
Yeah. It's so straightforward.
Yeah, I mean, we're going into too much detail now, but I'd rather go into too much detail than not enough detail. So those symbols are now back in play, and we're going to do phase 3, which is the sort of free will style phase. Okay, so phase 3, this is a really nice way to step it up again. So with the first phase, you had contact with the cards. With the second phase, you had contact with the cards through a blocking device, the envelope. And now with this final phase, you're going to do it without any contact at all. You're just going to be feeling, and revealing what the cards are. We're going to use the same 3 symbols. So the cross, the waves, the square. They're going to be handed off to the person. They can shuffle those up and place them face down in a line on the table. Perfect. Now, they don't know these cards are marked. I do though. So when I move these cards apart like this to apparently place them into the perfect position for this, I'm just clocking where every card is. So I'm just moving this one and going, oh, that's the waves. So I'll remember that waves is there. And as I move this one, that's the square. So I remember it's waves, square, and then cross.
And then obviously the cross is,
So I'm just moving these cards around, looking at the markings, remembering what they are. Waves, square, cross.
Perfect.
Yeah. So now I'm doing that as I'm explaining that I'm going to try and do this with no contact whatsoever. So at this point I say all you need to do is pick up one of these cards, don't look at the face, just place it into your left pocket. So he's now taken the cross and placed it into his left pocket. So I remember cross, left pocket. Now there's 2 more. I can spread these apart again.
If you need to, if you needed to have another look.
If you need to have another look. So he's going to pick up another one of these. So he's picked up the waves. That's going into his right pocket. And the final one, the square, is going inside of his hands. So I know cross left pocket, waves right pocket, square inside of his hands. And of course, you'll reveal that with a bit more gusto after all of this energy feeling nonsense. And yeah, that's how that works. So that's the entire sensor routine. It's really nice because you've got multiple methods in there cancelling each other out. And,
and it builds on itself as well.
Yeah, the impossibility gets greater every time. So, I mean, if I was going to do one ESP routine that was going to be a bit more lengthy, like if I was going to do one and I just wanted it to be quick, I'd do the opener, you know, because that's super quick, really solid. If I wanted something a bit more lengthy, like to be the middle of a set that flows really nicely, this is the routine that I'd choose. I love
and because it's not just there's so much mind reading in mentalism, whereas this isn't mind reading. You're sensing something. It's a different skill set apparently.
Yeah, 100%.
And another nice thing, of course, depending on the presentation you're using, because these are marked, when they go down, you know which one is which. Now, this doesn't really fit the presentation that Dee uses this for, but if you did have your business card, you could have a prediction on there that says something like left pocket cross, right pocket waves, and in the hands, the square. Because these are marked anyway, and you know which one is which once the spectator has mixed them, and you say to them, now just pick one of those up, wait for them to pick one of them up, see which one it is, and then tell them where to put it to suit your prediction.
Yeah.
So if they pick the waves, and in your prediction that's in their right pocket, they pick it up, great, put that straight into your right pocket, don't look at it yet. Ask them to pick up another one, see which one it is, and then just give them instructions whether they're going to hold it in their hand or stick it in their pocket, just to match your prediction. Then at the end, turn the prediction over, waves in this pocket, this in that pocket, this in the hands. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the hardest thing with using this kind of a method with free will is usually, in the case of most free will routines where you're using things that they know what they've picked up.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to get the delayed reaction that will create a much more explosive reaction. Whereas with this, I specifically say don't look at the faces. So I'll reveal something, and then they'll take it out, and then they'll be amazed, right? I think that's a really powerful tool to have. So yeah, that's the way that I do censor. Lewis had a couple of extra thoughts. A really nice way to do this with the entire deck.
Yeah. So is this the full deck?
Yeah, that's
excellent. So take them, give them a shuffle.
Yeah.
I'm going to be using a pen and the business card for this. All right then. So you could talk about when you were first practicing or strengthening your intuitive abilities, you would use these cards to do the following. So take hold of the deck, and you can even keep mixing them if you want. I would ask friends and family to choose a symbol, place it face down on the table, and I'd try and tell them exactly what it was. When I got good at that, I took this a step further, and even before they'd chosen a card, I'd try and predict exactly which one they were going to choose, and that's what I'm going to do now. So I'm going to be making a list of symbols I feel you're going to choose. I'm going to start up here. This is going to be the top. All right then, so firstly, I think it's going to be this. So take a card from anywhere in the deck, don't turn it over, and just stick it face down on the table. All right then. And remember, I'm making my predictions before you're even choosing the card. So the next one I feel you're going to choose is this. I'm going to draw it, and as I say, I'm making a list. So take one of these face down, stick it on the table. And once again, remember, I'm making my predictions before you're even choosing anything. Look at me. The next one is going to be, I feel, is going to be this. Okay? So take it out and place it on the table. Again, I can't change my mind now. And, oh, interesting. The next one is going to be this, I think. Okay, so take one, stick it out on the table, and then at the end I'll show you what I've written, and then we'll see if I got them right or wrong. Normally I'd stop at this point, but I'm feeling pretty confident with how this is going. I think the next one that you'll choose is going to be this. Okay, so take one face down, stick it on the table. All right then, and we'll stop at this point. I think that's more than enough. So we'll keep these in the exact same order. Turn this over, and starting from the top, look at what I said the first one would be, the star. And in fact, if we spread these out, you can see I got it exactly. The star, the circle, the square, another square, and the three wavy lines. And of course, that was just a quick and rough presentation, but this is the easiest thing in the world to do. I'm going to start this again on the back. So these are all just shuffled and mixed. And I always like to begin with the star. So on the back of my business card, I do a dot at the top. I say I'm going to be starting from up here and working my way down, making a list, predicting the cards you're going to choose even before you've chosen them. And I always start with the star. It's just the easiest one for me to begin the routine with. So I draw a star. And I ask them to take one out of the deck from anywhere and place it face down on the table. Now, if at this point they choose the star, I can say, excellent. Now remember, I made my decision before you even chose one of these cards. I thought you'd go with the star. Let's take a look at what you've ended up with. And of course, it'd be the star. Now, if it isn't the star, I just look at the marking on the card they've chosen. This time I know it's the circle. So I behave as though, okay, that one's done, that one's dealt with. Now I'm about to make another prediction. I look at them, so I kind of bring the attention away from this. It's like, okay, the next one is going to be this. And all I'm doing is drawing the shape that was there. Okay, this is what I think your second choice will be. Take out another one. And I keep going, essentially, until they put down a star. And it's bound to happen because there's 5 stars in that deck. I look again. This time I see it's the cross. So again, I ignore this one, Before I write my next prediction, which is going to be the cross because the cross is here, I look at them, okay, I feel the next one you'll be drawn to is this. Now, they can be looking at these if they want, it doesn't matter. Your spectator can go through the deck face up with the faces facing them and choose the ones they want. So these can be conscious decisions if you want, or it could just be random. All right, so I've made my third prediction. Let's see what the third card will be. Now I see a star has gone down. Now I can stop because my first one was a star. At this point, all I have to do is get that star that's now on the top to the very bottom. So I pick these up. I say to my spectator, now take a look at what I've done. So as they're turning this over, I say, look at the first one I thought you'd choose as a star. Now it doesn't really make sense that it's coming off the top. That's why this is done at the same time I asked them to turn that over, and they're not quite seeing where that came from. But it doesn't matter anyway, because now they're about to see the rest of them in order as well. So I've revealed the star just by turning it face up. I pick it up, turn the rest of the stack face up and add it to the bottom. And now when I spread these, they're going to be in the perfect order. So whether I've done one of these, 2, 3, 4, even a whole list of these, I stop when I get to the star, make sure that star goes to the bottom, and then when I spread them out, they're going to match the predictions that I've written.
Yeah, it's really
Really
nice.
simple,
I think
really straightforward. This is the kind of thing where you'd sit down and build your own presentation around it, because like I say, you could have your spectator just looking at these like this, and then you're able to predict the decisions they're going to make before they make them, or this could just be random. I meant to do that.
like throwing
Yeah,
the
the
cards
energy
all
is
over
too
the place.
strong in the room.
Oh.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, no, that's great. I love it, and I especially love the cheekiness of the replacement, because there are various one ahead and one behind like match-up routines. The first really nice thing about this is that you're writing a prediction, so you only need the one deck, which is great.
Yeah.
And the second one is just that super cheeky, like, this is the symbol that should be here, I'm just going to deal it off the top. And
Yeah.
no one's going to notice.
It's as simple as that. So like I say, I always start with the star, and the great thing is, if the first card they put down is the star, you can either stop at that point or say, now let's do this again with even more. Now that we've established we can do this once, let's keep going. But yeah, so this is turned face up. Okay, so the first one I thought would be the star. And again, that move to make this work is pick up the star, turn the rest of the packet face up, put it on the bottom, and then when you spread these out in a line, it's going to match your predictions perfectly.
Yeah,
Just
no
nice.
need to do second deals and bottom
Nope,
deals.
nothing
and
at all. There's
all
no
of that.
moves. Yeah.
No moves whatsoever.
And that's just a nice sort of sensing variation, whether you're predicting the conscious decisions they'll make or the subconscious decisions. And depending on your style, you could even have these face down, your spectator holds their hand over them and they choose the ones they feel somehow energetically drawn to. You could turn this into a whole thing. But yeah, I just wanted to show you that quick sort of method and idea, and then you can play around with it and build your own routines around this kind of one ahead or one behind. I can't even figure out.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
One
but
behind.
there it is.
Cool. Well, yeah, that is a load of stuff about sensing stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Nice. And now I sense I'm going to have to pick all these cards up off the floor.
yep. While you're doing that, I'll try and remember what came next in the show. Maybe we should run the reel.
Let's do it.
I can teach you how to do this, but you'll have to cross my palm with silver first. Do you have a note on you, like a banknote?
Yep.
Okay. I want you to just fold it one more time. And we'll place it in the envelope here with the... and we will place it here. I'll do a swap. We'll get rid of these, we don't need them. I'd like you to hold this just like that. And I don't want you to look at what's written on the underside. That will become clear in a moment. I'm going to deal these out like so. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to mix them up as well. Now, I want you to allow your hands to go across, like so.
With this
And yeah. And in a moment, you're going to feel the urge that tells you to bring the envelope down on top of one of the cards. That one. You should. It's interesting. I said I'd teach you how to do this, and what you've got to do is just kind of trust. You didn't know what you were doing there. There was no indication of what you were trying to achieve, and that means that your subconscious will have allowed you to do it. You see, on the back of this envelope, something is written. Do you want to turn it over and take a look?
Yeah, sure.
What does it say?
Shall I read it?
Yeah.
You are looking for the cross.
You are looking for the cross. There's a square, waves, star, circle. One is missing. The card that you dropped it down on top of. Do you want to turn that? But you'll notice that that envelope is very different to the other envelopes we've been using. It's much smaller, and the reason for that is that's the only envelope I had access to when I was on the train coming here today. I had a premonition. I had to write something down, a sequence of letters and numbers. Do you want to open up the envelope? Does that mean anything to you? It probably doesn't, but it means more than you think. At the start of this, I asked you to cross my palm with silver, and you gave me a banknote. In the Queen's England, every single banknote has a sequence of letters and numbers written across it, a serial number, completely unique from every other one in the world. I don't want to touch anything, but the envelope that you placed that note inside, do you want to open up, take the note out, see if you can find the serial number?
No way. No.
What does it say?
It says exactly the same thing. AM14648950. And oh my gosh.
Don't freak out. I know there's loads of stuff on the table, but that's because these two tricks kind of meld into one another to make one routine.
Okay.
So we've got a setup for the card trick, Gambit.
Yeah.
And we've got a setup for the serial number reveal, all at the same time. So that's our spectator's £10 note. Don't worry about that just yet. You can stick that in your pocket. I have a £10 note here. It can be any currency, anywhere in the world. They all have serial numbers. I guess to stop forgery or something. I don't know. Either way, I'm going to copy down this number. So on this, it's D K 26 1 5 4 0 5 9. So all I've done is copy that serial number down on that card. I've written nothing else on there. So this can go into one of the same kind of envelopes that you've been using all along, or it can go into a smaller envelope and you can use that little line that I used in the performance. Either way, that's going to go into an envelope that can be sealed or it can be left open. Doesn't really matter. On the back of this envelope, we're going to write cross is going to be our fourth symbol for this. You are searching for the cross. There we go. So that's that envelope is set up. This will go in my glass or whatever, or you can stick it in your pocket. Just try and separate it from all the other envelopes. So that's that envelope done. Now we're going to take two more envelopes. It's important you have a stack for this, and you'll understand why in a moment. This envelope is going to be folded into quarters, because it's very easy to say to someone, fold it into quarters and place it inside the envelope and squish down a little bit. This other envelope is left empty. We're going to bend that flap backwards. We're going to place this flap inside here so that we've got these two envelopes stuck together. So just to reiterate, there's a note in this one, our note that matches the serial reveal. This is bending backwards. This is bending forwards, going inside, and then this is going on top of our stack. Just like so. This can go in one pocket, this can go in another pocket. Okay, now to set up the deck. So that's everything we need for the serial number reveal, and that's the reveal of the card we're going to force. We've got the full deck here. We've got the double backer. We have a set of normal symbols, and we've got all the other cross symbols. So there's a cross in this set of symbols. All the rest of them are here. This card also is important. This can be any card. All I've done to it is corner clipped the edge. So if we get a close-up on this, you'll be able to see that all of these edges are much sharper than this one. So this is our clipped corner. You can get from stationery stores these little, they're almost like hole punches, but they punch a corner.
Yeah.
Just take in some normal playing cards and try a few out to find one that makes a nice smooth corner. Failing that, you can just get some scissors and just chop it a little bit. The only reason I do this is if I place this inside the deck, now, first of all, I can see where it is. You won't be able to see on camera, but I can see where it is. And by rolling my thumb, I can immediately catch all the cards above it.
Nice.
Like so. So, this is going on the top of the deck. Then we're taking all our duplicates, placing them face up. We've got a double backer, and then our normal cards, including the final cross, is on the bottom of the deck. And the beauty here is when you do it all together, you can have this set up, and all the other tricks are just using like 5 cards rather than the whole deck.
Yeah, so the deck can remain set for every single one of these routines.
Exactly.
And,
so, yes, that's that. So these, I'm going to place inside a glass. This, I'll place under the glass to separate it. The box can go away. And you can lay out your table however you like, or you could do this walk around as long as there was a surface that you can deal the cards down onto, which is easy enough. You can just have these in your pockets, but for ease of teaching, we'll keep those there. So just to reiterate, I've got my envelope stack set up as a flapless envelope with the envelope behind, holding the note that has the serial number matching the card inside this envelope. This envelope also says you will choose the cross. The deck is set up with 5 symbols on the bottom, 1 of each. On the top, you've got a double backer, 1, 2, 3, 4. The rest of the face-up crosses, and then underneath that, if you want, you can have a corner clipped card. I find it makes life much easier.
Yeah, and I've seen you performing this, and you don't even need to give any headspace to that, because that card, it just takes so much more effort out of it. It makes it really easy. Yeah, it just happens 100%. In your hands. Yeah.
So again, this is based off a card trick that I put out years and years and years ago, but this is so much better. And I know it seems like quite a lot of setup,
but it's worth it.
But it's worth it, especially when you've got these two together. It's a killer, absolute killer. And the fact that you've got that serial number reveal in there gives you the opportunity to clean everything up.
Yeah.
So yeah, cards are there. So let's go through the handling.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're all set up. So the way that I do this is I explain that I'm going to teach them how to do what I'm doing. That kind of makes sense in the context of the act.
Yeah,
but
it's exciting as well.
Yeah, you can use that line even if you're doing it standalone. I'm going to teach you how to do something amazing. But first, you've got to cross my palm with silver. Of course, we don't use silver doubloons anymore, so a £10 note will do, if you happen to have one.
How convenient.
Oh, yes. That £10 note, here I've pushed the flap inside of this envelope, so do you want to place it in there?
So I'm going to fold this into quarters.
Yeah. Yeah, you should probably mention fold it into quarters.
Yeah.
And they place it inside the envelope. Now, all I'm going to do is reach inside, pull this flap out of that envelope, which again is a really nice subtlety for a flapless envelope, is when you've got that envelope, that flap tucked in, you pull that out, you turn your hand, and you're going to pull from that flap. So I'll show you with an exposed view. This is the envelope his note has gone into, and I'm pulling out the one behind it. Like so. That goes into my glass. These go away. They're no longer needed. You can place them anywhere your heart desires. So that's the...
So you've switched the note now. You've taken the spectators. They think it's in that envelope when really you've switched them. So now this is your note that matches the serial number that's in this envelope.
Exactly. You've got it. So now we're going to move to the cards and you're going to do your teaching thing. I've got these 5 symbols ready to go on the bottom. If you're doing this in the context of a larger show, you'll already have these 5 symbols out.
Yeah.
The beauty of the way the act is structured, that we'll go into towards the end, is that you're only using these 5 symbols until the moment you're doing this trick. So the 5 symbols come out, you're going to pick them up like so and place them on the top.
Face up?
Face up. It doesn't matter what order these symbols are in, because now you're going to be the one that's mixing the symbols, apparently. And what you're actually going to be doing, you do this up here, mixing the symbols as you saw me do in the performance. What you're actually doing is bunching these symbols together and pushing off the double backer. So you're mixing the double backer in with these up to the point where you've got these 4 symbols, the double backer, and the cross that was inside of these symbols is going to join all of the other crosses. So now you've got 4 symbols, double backer, 5 crosses face up. And this is all done up here so they can't see anything. Square that up and down. I like to brush off the table to give me an excuse, and you just saw me do it by instinct. I then run my hand up and catch that little corner clipped card. That corner clipped card gives me everything we've just set up 5 crosses, double backer, 4 normal symbols. Brush off the table, run my thumb up, catch a break. I'm going to literally turn those over and deal them out. So as far as the spectators are concerned, I've just taken the 5 symbols, held them up here, mixed them up, turned them over, dealt them out. These are apparently 5 different symbols, when in reality these are the 5 crosses. So no matter where they drop this envelope, they're going to land on a cross. And that's exactly what you ask them to do. You say, I've got this other envelope that I kept separate from the rest. And that's because there's something important written on the back. I don't want you to see what that is yet. I just want you to take it, hold it for a moment, and when you feel ready, drop it on the card that feels right in front of you. So he's placed it on there. It is, of course, a cross. So at this point, I pick up the deck so it's in my hand again. If you've placed it down, it might be in your hand all along. I don't know. And I collect up all of the other cards. Like so. Now, I offer him the opportunity to turn it over and see what's written on there.
And it says, you are searching for the cross.
You're searching for the cross. As he turns that over, I'm catching my break again, just using that little sneaky corner clip. And I'm going to turn over the whole stack again. That's going to reveal these 4 cards that were the first 4 cards.
That.
Yeah, it's cheeky, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that gives me those 4 cards. So I've just turned those over, but I don't draw too much attention. As he's turned that over, he reads that out. And I say the cross. So not the waves, not the star, not the square, not the circle. You were searching for the cross. And this leaves me reset as well. So I can place this here, place those back on there, and I'm completely reset. But the beauty here is that this is moving into the serial number reveal, which brings the entire thing full circle.
Yeah.
So you've had that great demonstration. Then you say, this envelope isn't just something to write on, there's actually something inside of it. I had a premonition earlier, and a lot of random numbers and letters came to me. I had to write them down and I placed them inside, and now this makes complete sense to me. Open that up and pull out what it says. And what does it say?
This.
Other side.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
DK26154059.
And what does that mean to you?
Literally nothing.
Literally nothing. It's hilarious when you say, what does this mean to you? Because people, they're really trying to make it fit.
Yeah.
But then you draw attention back to, at the very beginning, you crossed my palm with silver. Or well, not with silver, with a £10 note. Every banknote in the country, in fact every banknote in the world, has a unique serial number. A collection of numbers and letters which seem to mean nothing, but in fact they're completely unique to that note. Take your note out of that envelope. I haven't touched it, I don't want to touch it. Open it up and read out what the serial number says.
And it says DK261544059.
And you've got a killer serial number prediction. So that is a routine. And to reset, the cards are already reset. To reset, you've got a new note already in here, so the serial number is never going to be the same because that person walks away with that £10 note.
Yeah.
You just get a new card, copy the serial number off this new bill, stick it in there, do that, you're done.
Yeah, nice.
Easy peasy.
I really love how this is just so automatic. They see the 5 symbols, you turn them face down, put them on there, which are then all crosses. So even if of course it's definitely worth doing the serial number thing as well. But again, if you just had your business card with the cross prediction, so instead of an envelope, this could be your business card if you were just doing the first half of the routine. They've seen the 5 symbols, the face down, they go on the table, they put that down anywhere, it's definitely going to be a cross. You're taking the other 4 away, you flip them face up, they see that the cross is missing.
Yeah.
Then I love that. I think that's so good. And then you've got the bonus reveal of the serial number as well.
It's a killer. Like, for years, when I was doing it as a card trick, I never thought to put a thing in an envelope and all of this.
Nice.
But I wanted to find a way to work a serial number reveal into one of my routines. And this seemed to make perfect sense because I'm getting someone to drop something on top of something else. Why not make it an envelope? Why not stick a bill in there or a reveal or whatever?
But then not only that, this is no longer a random envelope. This contains something that they believe belongs to them. So they've already got that connection to this anyway, which, if depending on what you're talking about or claiming, this is unique to them in some way, contains a personal item of theirs. They decide where it goes, and then I really like this routine.
Yeah, it's cheeky.
Yeah, it's so good. So, would you mind showing me so this is pretty straightforward. Will you mind showing me again, just exactly what happened? So we've got the setup.
Yeah.
Just plain and simple. Show me how.
So again, I've been instantly reset here. I've got the 4 crosses face up.
Yeah.
Underneath that is my little corner clip card, which isn't 100% necessary, but it makes life so much easier. Yeah, and you can use that for other things as well. There's tons of things you can do with a corner clip card. Then a double backer goes on top to hide that. On the bottom of the deck, I've got my 5 normal symbols. Put these in order. So, just one of each.
Yeah.
Just like that. So, I take off these 5 symbols. Usually I will have done something else with that, but regardless.
So then that was turned over.
Yeah, so this just turns over in my hand. So now I'm here.
You've got them, yeah.
I pick up these symbols and place them face up on the face down deck. So now it looks like this. Face up, normal symbols, double backer, face up duplicates. Now I'm going to bring these up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm being careful not to do this because I don't want them to see other backs. I bring these up and I say I don't want you to see which order I'm mixing these into. And what I'm doing up here is I'm mixing these together. I bring the cross down here and then I push that across as these sort of bundle together so that they can't see that there's 6 rather than 5. And I just put the cross into position there.
So you're swapping the cross with so basically you're putting the cross under the double backer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In the process of apparently mixing these into a random order. Now I can brush the table or make some space. I come back, I just feel for that break. Bam, stick my finger there. Turn this entire stack over. This is apparently only 5 cards, but as long as
nobody sees.
Yeah, if you're super concerned, face the cards towards them. Use your fingers to cover, and they won't see the thickness.
Yeah.
But honestly,
no one
in my entire life has ever caught up on that. I turned the entire stack over, everything that was underneath the corner clip card. I deal these out. Now this is cross, 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 cross.
Yeah.
And what I'm left with on the deck is double backer and then the 4 symbols that aren't the cross.
Yeah.
And then my corner clip card.
So then one of these is chosen. Let's say it's that one.
Yep. So then I literally pull these, place them face down on the deck. I just need to pop at my brake again. I ask them to turn that over. They turn that over. As they do, I turn this stack over. Shows the star. So you're not looking for the star or the cross or the waves or the circle. You're looking for the cross.
That's amazing. That I just love how clean that is. The way it automatically leaves you without the cross. So you can then just very cleanly show the other 4 symbols. So this must be the cross. That's brilliant. I love that.
Yeah, it's a killer. And I did publish the card version years ago and everyone hated it. But
well, there's a reason for everything. Maybe it's much better now.
Oh, it is much better now. But I love the card one as well. But it doesn't matter. Now I'll never go back to using the card one, because that with the serial number reveal and just everything just falls into place on that. So that's Gambit and that's the serial number reveal. So now we only have one trick left in the little act, and then we'll talk about yours, and then we'll talk about how to bundle all of this stuff together. So let's move on to the final trick, the grand finale, distance. We'll try one last thing. There are 5 sets of the 5 symbols in an ESP deck. And I'm going to ask you, I'll take this one so I can show you what to do. Clear these out of the way. I want you to just mix them around the table. Perfect. So there's no way that anybody could know what any of these cards are. I mentioned at the very start that these were used to test psychic ability. The scientist would hold the card up like this, and the alleged psychic would try and guess what was on the other side. Even more difficult than that is to do so from a distance. Continue to mix the cards, and whenever you're ready, hold one card up like this and stare at the symbol for me.
From the back?
Yeah, back towards me, you stare at the symbol. It's a star, right?
Yeah.
Okay, put that away. Let's do it one more time. Is that another star? One more time. Another star.
Yeah.
We'll do it once more. Hopefully we'll get different symbols. Let's do that. Okay, it's a different symbol now. We've got a cross, I believe. And let's try one more time. See if you can find that last star. The waving ones.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
2 at a time. Pick up 2 of them. circle, cross. One more time. Pick up 2 more. You've got 2 of the same symbol here. This is square. And I think that will do us for now. Thank you very much for taking part.
Thank you so much.
So this final routine, not so much of a routine, really, just
Final piece.
a demonstration. It's called distance, and the clue is in the name. You're just going to be telling them what cards they're holding from a distance. And that's one of the big advantages to these cards, as I'm sure you're already aware, is that as long as you can see one of these circles, you can be miles away. And as long as you can roughly make out where the circle is, you can see which side is heavier.
Yeah.
So
it seems difficult or impossible until you actually try it and go, actually, this is easy.
Yeah, I mean, it takes a little bit of practice to get the feeling right, because it is more of a feeling. Like when you're just at arm's length, yeah, you can easily see where the thick part is. But when you're at a real distance, like in a moment, we'll reset the lights and I'll go to the other end of the room and I'll explain what I'm seeing. Even though my eyes can't focus on something that far away,
You can just kind of
you can
feel where that weight is in the circle.
Yeah, exactly. And it's super easy to do once you've practiced a couple of times, and it just blows people away. Like structurally, this distance routine, I literally, if I'm just doing it standalone, just with some friends or whatever, I get them to wash the cards across the table. I walk over there. I say, pick one up. They do, so pick one up. And hold it at fingertips so that you can see the symbol. And now I know that this is the waves because I can see the weight is at the bottom of the card, at the bottom of the circle. Oh no, sorry. Okay, throw that down. Choose another one. And now you'll notice I catch my glance. I see it's a cross. I'll then turn my head away. Oh, it's a cross. And then I'll go, okay, let's try 2 at a time. And he picks up 2. So now I can see that one is waves, that one is square. And just play it like that. It's kind of like a bit of a jazz routine that, you know, just whatever feels right. I just tend to do 1, then another 1, then 2, then another 2, and that's enough for now.
Yeah, nice.
You know? So it's very, very simple. There's not really much to say because all you're doing is reading the markings.
Yeah.
But yeah, it can be very, very impressive.
I love it. In your act, so if people watching this were to do your full act, you end with the deck and a double backer on top of the deck.
Yes.
So your
cards face up as well. So let's just take these and is there a double backer in there?
No, I will get you one.
And I will get out 4 symbols. So how you end is with the 4 symbols and with a double backer, because that's reset for the next, like if you wanted to do gambit, another table. So all you need to do, and the corner clipped card underneath
that could
it.
Yeah.
And the corner clipped card, nobody's going to notice the corner is clipped. So all you do is go through, find the corner clipped card, take a break under there, and then all I'm going to do, it's almost like the KM move. So I take this entire stack, I turn my hand over, so now it's matching all of those symbols. So this is how I tend to do it. I take this off, and I let my fingers contact all of these as I peel away the double backer and place those face up. So now I've just reorientated those 4 cards, and this is just casually with the deck. I go through, find my corner clip card, take this off, I'm talking like this. I say I'm going to get you to hold the card up at fingertips, and this double backer, I never show them the face of this. This is what I use to demonstrate what I want them to do.
Yeah.
So I'm going to hold this card up. So I'll literally walk over there while holding this card, and then I'll give them the instruction.
Yeah.
I'll say, so hold it up just like this at fingertips so you can clearly see the symbol. I'm going to try and get it.
And then
that's that.
And then they're left on the other side of the room with a clean deck.
Yeah, totally. Everything's examinable. This can go back in your pocket. Everything's normal with that deck. The only thing wrong with that deck is the fact that it's secretly marked, which they'll never find, and that there's a corner clipped card, which even if they did find, they wouldn't care.
Yeah.
And they're probably not going to find it anyway. So let's reset, and we can I'll show you what you can do with this.
Yeah.
How far you can go. Square.
Yeah.
Star.
Yeah. Nice.
Circle.
Yeah.
Another circle.
Yeah. Nice.
Da, 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 da.
Perfect.
Supervision, man. Right, so I think I've waffled on for long enough. I'm going to teach you how to set up the show in a bit, but just to break it up, Lewis has a couple of routines he's been doing with the Eclipse deck since he had his. So why don't you talk to the people about your work?
I shall do.
Instead of just making my work better.
Yeah. Well, thank you. All right, so when I introduce ESP symbols, I don't talk about psychics or psychic testing or labs or things like that. I don't give them the whole J.B. Ryan. Was that his name? J.B. Ryan? I don't even know the guy's name, so don't use the story. J.B. Ryan.
J.B. Ryan and Carl Zener.
Don't bother with any of that. It's interesting to us because we're mentalists, we're into this thing, the history of this is interesting to us. But to everyday people, honestly, they don't care. I mean, I suppose it depends on your style and your presentation, but if I've told people that story, I found myself wishing I hadn't and just did the routine anyway. But just because of my style and my presentation, when I introduce these symbols, I usually say something along the lines of this. So for what we're about to do, we're going to be using these cards that contain a variety of different symbols for a very specific reason. If you were to look at the earliest cave paintings that you can find, no matter where in the world you look, you will find these same symbols just keep coming back over and over and over. And in a way, it was like the earliest human language, and they weren't words, they were symbols. It's the earliest documentation of human thought, which not only makes it incredibly interesting for me and the work that I do, but because they were used for hundreds of thousands of years, they're embedded deep within the human psyche, which makes them a perfect tool for what we're about to do. The symbols themselves were these. A circle, which would represent the sun, because without it, there'd be no life on Earth, and the earliest humans understood that. The cross would represent the coming together of elements, whether that was hands to create tools, or even like creating tools in order to survive or cook and things like that, or even the coming together of people, because again, the earliest humans understood the most important thing in life was to survive and replicate. So the coming together of elements. The wavy lines would represent either the sea or water. Again, we understand the importance of that. The square would represent shelter. Again, the most important thing for survival. And then the star would represent the night sky and all of the mystery it contains. So it's a beautiful way of introducing the symbols. And then usually I'd go into an ESP matchup routine. I've got two ways of doing this. Firstly, if it's just one-on-one, they would take the symbols, mix them up a little bit. I'd take mine, and now I know there are methods where the mentalist can put their shape down first and then the spectator places theirs down. I don't bother with that. You really don't need to. And I disguise it as a reading. And yes, my symbols are going to match theirs, and it just kind of proves that the things I'm saying during my reading have some weight to them. It's like, if I knew you would choose this symbol, I'm going to give you the reason why. So they take a look at the symbols, and I don't ask them to pick them one at a time. I say, place 4 of them down in a row on the table, face down, in any order you like, but save one for yourself. So I let them do this. They don't have to remember the order the symbols are in. This has to be instinctive, intuitive, automatic, and they keep one for themselves. I say to them, now the only question I'll ask you is this. Do you want me to start from this end, or do you want me to start from this end? And by doing that, it gives me a chance to look at what's over here, and then it gives me a chance to look at what's over here. So I look here and I know this is the circle, and I look here and I know this is the square. So it just gives me an opportunity to look at those shapes. I say, okay, the only question I'll ask you is this. Do you want me to start from this end, or do you want me to start from this end? They decide.
We'll start from that end.
And then I behave as though it means something. Okay, we'll start from here. I look them right in the eye. I say, now, forgive me for being quiet while I do this. I do need to concentrate. And all I'm doing is finding that circle. And then as I place it down, I look at the next one, and I know this is the wavy line, so I look back at them and I say, all right, okay. And I kind of want to do this a little bit quickly because I'm going to be talking to them quite a bit during the reveals. So again, I've placed that symbol down, I look at the next one, I know this is the cross, I look back at them, the cross goes down, and again, I've looked here, so I know this is the square. So I'm left with 2. I place the square down. So now I'm left holding a card, and so are they. Now, I'm not going to go into depth on how I give readings. I've put out so much of that stuff already, and especially plenty of things with the 1914. But I just talk about the shapes and the symbols metaphorically, and I try and elaborate on them in a metaphorical way. The structure I give the reading is the card they've left them, because this was a choice they made. They kept themselves with this one. So this, I see it as their personality. What can I sense about this person's personality? Now, in my reveal, before I show them I'm holding the star, I say, I get a sense that you're this kind of person, that kind of person. I'm basically just elaborating on what the star could symbolize or mean. So I've talked to them about their personality, and I say, and for that reason, I think you kept the star for yourself. And of course they did. Now I've got 4 things left to reveal. So I simply do this: past, present, future, and goals for the future. So now, I've just revealed this. We're both holding the star. And I say, now you wanted me to start at this end. So whichever end they say, it doesn't matter, I just change it. So in this case, it'd be past, present, future, and kind of goals and ambitions. All right then, so starting over here, I place the circle. My reason for this is, now through the frame, or like the context of their past, I'm going to elaborate on the circle. Again, I'm not going to talk in depth about how to give readings here, but that's what I do. I'll be talking about the circle and relating it to this person's past. And I say, let's see what you put. They turn this over, and of course it's the circle. I then say, all right then, now for your present, I chose this. And I'm kind of, I don't want this to be a reveal, because they're probably going to remember they've put that anyway. Anybody else watching doesn't know that, but they're going to start to react a little bit and start to smile. They're getting excited because they know I've got this right. But instead of me just turning them over, look, they match, they match, they match, I'm saying my reason for choosing this is because in your present life right now, I feel blah, 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 whatever I want to say about this. Let's take a look at what you put. Then for your future, this is what I chose. I wasn't sure about this one because I feel you're making some decisions at the moment, potentially life-changing, or whatever you want to say. We take a look at this. And then finally, their goals and ambitions for the future itself. Talk about this as much as you want before I turn it over, because now I can give them a little reading. I know what the symbol is. Give them a reading, and then finally I turn the last 2 cards over for that final reveal. So yes, it's a matchup, but it's built into a reading, and you could just carry this deck with you in your pocket. You wouldn't need tarot cards, you wouldn't need to read palms. You could give an entire reading on just this alone, and the great thing is you can repeat this, and the readings you give each time will be different, because you might have stock lines that you say for certain cards, but you're going to be giving them a different context, because it might be the past, the present, or the future, or whatever it is that you're doing with it. And I think it's just a really simple way of doing a matchup, but it's not just then an intellectual game of snap. You've got reasons for making the decisions you've made. So yes, not only are you giving them a wonderful reading, But there's that little moment of, okay, maybe there is something to what he's saying here because all of the symbols match. All of the decisions he made for me were the decisions I made for myself. Now, a great way of doing this without the readings for a couple, and I only ever do this for a couple because there's a beautiful moment at the end. So let's say I'm sat with a couple and I give the cards to the lady and I give her the same instructions. I say, take a look at them, place 4 of them down in a row on the table, keeping 1 for yourself. And it's important they do that. They don't show anybody what they've put down. They don't show anybody what they're holding. Excellent. So they've placed 4 cards face down in a row. They've kept hold of 1 for themselves. I do the same thing again. The only question I'll ask you is this. Do you want me to start from this end or this end? Now I've just seen the star over here and the square is over here. So I don't really need to look back at the cards. So let's say this is a husband and wife. The wife has just done this. The husband is sat next to me here. Do you want me to start here or here?
We'll start over that end.
Over there. Okay, so I'm looking at them and I say again, please forgive me if I'm a little quiet while we do this. I do need to concentrate. I put down the star. I look at the next one. I see this is the square. I look at them. The square goes down. I look at my next one. I know that's the circle. I place this one down. And now I need to look at what this one is. And I see that it's the cross. Actually, no, it's not. I've made a little mistake there. What is this one? Oh, no, it is the wavy lines, and that's exactly what I've left with. I'm getting ahead of myself because I'm trying to explain this while demonstrating it. All right, so all of this is right, and so is this. I've got one final decision left to make on the table, and of course I know which one it needs to be because I'm left holding wavy lines, and the marking here is for wavy lines, which means they're holding the cross. But it's at this moment I turn to the husband and I say, the final decision is the most difficult. Well, if I get this one wrong, I've also got the last one wrong. This is the most difficult decision to make, so you're the only person here that can do this. You know each other far better than I know you, and you're the only person that can make the correct decision here. It's important that you do this without thinking. You're not going to make a conscious decision. If you try and guess which one needs to be placed down here, this will go wrong. This has to be automatic. And I say that because I don't want them thinking, which one could it be, which one could it be? Because I'm going to change my descript depending on which one they touch. Now I know I need the husband to touch the wavy lines for it to go down here. So I say to them, without thinking about this, just touch one of those symbols. Now if they touch the wavy lines, that's great. I place it down, I say, now you've just made my final decision for me, take hold of this. I give them that. And if he's made the final decision, it was the right one, I start from the very end, so starting with the first one, I place these, I place it, so these all match. We get to here and it's like, but this is the decision you made, you chose this one. So if these are wrong, then the ones you're holding are wrong as well. And then we turn these over, they match, and of course the ones in the hands match. But let's say the husband chose the wrong one to place down on the table. It needs to be the wavy lines. Without thinking about this, just follow your instincts, touch one of these. If he touches the cross, I say, excellent, take hold of that for me. They do. I place the wavy lines down on the table. And I say, now, when you were given an opportunity to keep one of these for yourself, that's the one you chose. And when you were given an opportunity to touch one of these and keep that for yourself, you also went with this one. Which is nice, because then we can go through the final reveal. These are all turned over. When we get to this final moment, it's like, now, neither of us chose that, we were left with it. The most important cards here are the ones that you chose for yourselves. And of course, this is a married couple or they're in a relationship together. On the count of 3, turn your cards around, show each other what you chose. And it's just nice for a couple to see that they've both chosen the same symbol. And then, of course, these match here. So it's kind of like, with that presentation with the couple, you are doing most of it. But when it does come down to that final decision, the one that could potentially mess up the ending because there's 2 cards left, you're turning to the husband or the wife or whatever and saying, you're going to make this final decision. You're the only person here that can do this. I can't. So without thinking about it, just touch one of these. And if they touch the one that needs to go on the table, perfect, you've just made my final decision. Hold on to this. If they touch the wrong one, I say, excellent, take hold of that. When you were given the opportunity to take one of these for yourself, you chose that. When you were given that same opportunity, you chose that one. And then I let those be the final reveal. It's just a nice little thing to do. Honestly, try that for a couple and it's lovely, it's beautiful. Because it takes the ending, like, yes, you're demonstrating your skill, but then the ending is for them, not for you. It's got nothing to do with you, and I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, I love it.
One final thing that I'd like to talk about is a really simple routine that I call the butterfly, and I use this with a greater purpose, which you'll see in just a moment. This only uses 5 cards, so I think, have you got 5 there? I believe you have.
Hi.
Excellent. So, I've introduced the symbols with the script I talked about at the beginning. I invite somebody to take them, mix them up face down, and then when you finish mixing them, place them face down in the palm of my hand. Now, I only rarely do this if there's a group of people watching, so I've got 1 spectator up here with me and maybe 2, 3 or 4 other people watching this happen. These have been mixed, they've been placed in my hand. I turn to them and I say, now in a moment, I'm going to look away. Whatever card has ended up on top, take it and have a look at it. And remember it, that's going to be your chosen symbol. And I've got all the time in the world I need to look at these markings. So they've placed them in my hand. I turn back and say, now in a moment, I'm going to look away. I want you to take this card off the top, have a look at it, and I want you to remember it. That's going to be your chosen symbol. It's going to be our target. Now I know this is the cross. So I've given them the simplest instruction. I turn away, they take that symbol, they have a look, and I say, now I'd like you to give that card to any one of the people watching here. And I really make efforts to make sure that they don't think I'm looking who has it. So they give that to one of the random spectators. And I say, excellent. Now with whatever's left, just take the rest and hand them to everyone else. So what we'll be left with is one person holding your chosen symbol, your target, and everybody else will be holding a random one. So those are passed out to however many people are left. Now when I turn back around, they don't know I know what their symbol is. So I'm left with a group of people with a card each. I say, excellent, you're going to work with me on this. I'd like you to turn them so the faces of the cards are pointing towards us, but don't look directly at your symbol. I don't want you to think I'm following your eyes. You know who has it, but I don't. That's important. Now the thing is, because I know they chose the cross at the beginning, when all of the spectators turn these around, how this looks is, everyone has a card, but there's no way I could know which one the target is. And of course I know it's the cross because the cards are marked, and now I can see who's stood there with the cross. But then what I do is this. I say to my spectator, now I'd like you to take hold of my wrist very gently. You're not going to guide or force my hand in a particular direction, but you're not going to stop it either. All you're going to do is just think, and using your thoughts alone, you're going to guide my hand. All I'm going to do is simply follow the internal directions you're giving me, but you're also going to follow me. We're going to work together to do this. Now what I'm doing is testing for muscle reading. Now, I'm 100% going to get this right, because I know they chose the cross and I know this person has it. So I can do this as much as I want and then find who has the cross. And of course you could repeat this if you wanted to. But I do genuinely want to test for, okay, can I do some real muscle reading with this person? So I say to them, now before we focus on your symbol, I want you to imagine that a butterfly has flown into the room and landed on the shoulder of any one of these people. So take a look at the people in front of you and imagine that a butterfly has landed on their shoulder. And in your mind, try and see it sitting right there on their shoulder. Excellent. So they've done that. They're imagining this butterfly sat on somebody's shoulder. And I say, now, only in your mind, only using your mind, guide me to the person with the butterfly. And all I'm doing here is taking the path of least resistance. I'm just moving my arm around and I'm seeing basically which way are they suggesting that I go? Which way is their hand automatically suggesting? If I move this way and there's a bit of resistance, I know I need to go this way. If I go too far and there's a bit more resistance, I know it's somewhere in the middle. And there's not really any way of explaining this in a way that you could go and do it instantly. You've just got to try it for yourself. But because I've got the guaranteed hit of the symbol, it doesn't matter if I get the butterfly wrong. Now, if this is working great and I can feel that they're guiding me to the right person, I say, okay, I feel that this person has the butterfly, am I right? If they say yes, great. Now I know I can do muscle reading with this person. If they say no, I can simply say, interesting. Now I know what we need to do. Let's swap sides. And I behave as though they're swapping sides and they take hold of my other wrist. I behave as though that has something to do with what's going on. So, right, now we're playing for real. Think about your shape, your chosen symbol, but don't look directly at it. And try not to look at any of the others. Just think. Guide me with your thoughts. And now, of course, I know exactly where it is because I know what the symbol was to begin with. So what this allows me to do is test to see if I can do some muscle reading with this person. And if they're really good for it, if I can find that butterfly, then I can simply say to them, great, you seem to have a connection with this symbol. I'm going to close my eyes, take that card and go and hide it somewhere in the room. Or go and give it to anybody else in the room. And then take hold of my wrist, and then because it worked well with the butterfly, I should be able to go and find the card. If it didn't work so well with the butterfly, I simply say, that's fine. Now I know what we need to do. Let's swap sides. And they take hold of my other wrist as though that's got anything to do with it, and then I just find the symbol. That, of course, can be repeated with different people because the cards are marked. You'll always know who has it. So again, the instructions are the simplest things in the world. They take the cards, they shuffle them, they place them face down in your hand. Say, now in a moment, I'm going to look away. Whatever card has ended up on top, take that, have a look at it, remember it, that's going to be your one. Then I'd like you to place that to give that card to any person here, but I'm going to do that with my back turned. So they take a look at what it is. They remember the symbol, they hand it to somebody else. And I say, now take the rest of them and give these to everybody else. So everybody is holding a card, but there's no way I could know who has the symbol you're thinking of. And then when I turn back around, and the beauty about these marked cards is, you don't even need to see the faces of them. The markings are so good here, all of these people could just be there with a card like this. And you can simply see, so for example, if they had the square, I'm just looking for that square. And I can do that under the cover of this person guiding me for the butterfly. So imagine a butterfly lands on somebody's shoulder, take my wrist, you're going to guide me with your thoughts only, and now I'm just looking at the marked cards to find the square or whatever the symbol was. I have a go at finding the butterfly. If I'm right, it's beautiful. If I'm wrong, we switch sides. But it's really nice because it's such a simple routine. You can repeat it with somebody else. They can go and sit back down. You can get somebody else up to come and do this. And if you can find that butterfly, then try it. Then try another muscle reading technique, because now you've used these cards
as a gateway.
As a gateway, yeah. And not only as a gateway, but you've used them to figure out if you can take this a step further and do something even more beautiful. So if they had chosen the cross, for example, excellent. You clearly have some sort of connection to this symbol. You could give them a reading on that if you're interested. Or you could say, look, I'm going to look away, I'm going to close my eyes, go and place that card anywhere in the room, make sure it's hidden, and then come and join me, tap me on the shoulder when you're done. You turn around, take the wrist, and then again, just trust that you'll be able to find it. And
very nice.
It's beautiful. But yeah, the imaginary butterfly, I used to do it the other way around. I used to first find the symbol and then try the butterfly, because I think that's beautiful. You're locating an imaginary animal on somebody's shoulder. But if that doesn't work well, you're left with a miss rather than a hit. Whereas if you start with the butterfly, whether that misses or not doesn't matter, because then you've got the definite hit. And then you cover that by simply saying, okay, I know what's going on, let's swap sides. Are you right? And then you can tie in the whole, are you right-handed or left-handed? Oh, okay, you're right-handed. Well, let's try this with your non-dominant hands, connected to your subconscious mind anyway. Give it whatever nonsense you need to cover that miss, and you'll always have the hit of the symbol.
Yeah, it's good. I remember seeing you do it the other way around.
Yeah.
And luckily it did work. But if it hadn't worked, you would have had to talk your way out of it. Yeah. So it's a lot more logical to do it that way around. So that, I mean, I'm a big advocate of having a guess at something, or an educated guess at something, knowing that I've got that something at the end. It's like with Iris. It's the perfect way to practice readings, because even if you miss on your reading lines, you've got that solid information there 100%. Ready to go, you know. And
that's what.
And it's the same thing with
if you look at any psychics out there, or any supposed genuine psychics, not everything they say hits anyway. So why are we trying to do better when really it's okay enough for them to miss? If you were genuinely psychic, not every single word you said. Basically, if you were genuinely psychic, you'd simply be speaking your impressions. It's down to them whether or not they can recognize them or identify with them. You're speaking your impressions, and you're just saying, look, I'll tell you everything I see, think and feel. Some of this will make perfect sense to you, some of it won't, but that's okay. But if I don't tell you everything, I might miss some important details. And then you've just bought yourself license to say anything you want. Another nice thing as well is to potentially, so once you've introduced the symbols, well, let's say we've just got the 5 symbols there, you've introduced them, and say to your spectator, which one of these is your favourite? And let them say whatever they want. Then once these are collected, and they've shuffled them and placed them face down in your hand, when you turn back and you see their markings, if the one they said was their favourite is on top, you can say, now you mix these in any order you want. At the beginning you told me your favourite. You were drawn to it in some way. Now you could have put these cards in any order, but this is the exact order you've left them in. In a moment I'm going to look away and I want you to take a look at the card that's on top, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at what you've been able to do. Now, if their favourite card is not on top, it doesn't matter. You ask them at the beginning, which one's your favourite? Oh, cool. Then move on. If the favourite is there, you've got
Happy
this wonderful
days.
moment.
Yeah.
And if it's not there, don't mention the favourite card again. But here's the nice thing. If you look and their favourite symbol's there now at the beginning, you could have left these in any order you want, but this is the order you've left them in. At the beginning, you told me your favourite symbol was the star. I'm going to look away, take a look at whichever card has landed on the very top, and I think you'd be surprised at what you've been able to do. And of course, if it's the star, you can then turn back to them and say, see, at the beginning you identified some sort of connection with that symbol, and you were drawn to it somehow. You intuitively or instinctively brought it to the surface. And if you were to continue practicing that and working on your own intuitive ability that you have there, let me show you what one day you'll be capable of. Or something along them lines, and now you can lead perfectly into you having a connection with all of the symbols, being able to locate the chosen one wherever it is. And so there's so much you can do with that. And the beauty of these cards as well is, even if you've got a spectator like this going, go on, what's that? What is it?
Oh, that's the waves.
Well, yeah. Because like the markings are so easy to see. It's just...
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to stuff like that, this is an important note, actually, because sometimes you do get people that are like this and you literally can't see the mark. So all you need to do is just reframe the demonstration. Say, place it face down on top of your hand.
Yeah.
And then you catch the mark in, and now place your other hand on top.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I mean, generally, aside from that sort of distance read where you clearly demonstrate exactly how they have to hold the card and all of this kind of stuff, it's rare that you're going to just say to someone, choose a card, I'm going to tell you what it is.
Yeah, exactly. It's dressed
You
up.
know?
I always like to talk about the haunted key in that sense. So if you just pull out a haunted key and went, look at this, the key turns. They don't care, but it's the story that makes the haunted key so powerful. Same as this. Another thing you could say, if your spectator has got the card and they're like this, you can say, all right then. So what your body language is currently showing me is that you are closed off and maybe challenging me in some way. But I'll be honest with you, this is not about me and what I can do, it's about us and what we can do. This is just a form of communication, and unfortunately a form of communication that's been long forgotten, and there's nothing about our daily lives that encourage us to explore that anymore, and that's the whole purpose and the whole reason behind why I do what I do. It's only communication. Now, if I tried to call you and you wouldn't answer the phone, no communication can be made. But if we stand any chance of doing this, we have to work together here. Just relax, take a couple of deep breaths, and instead of closing yourself off like this, creating a shield or a barrier, I want you to be open. Just hold the card face down in the palm of your hand and then look at that fucking marking. And say, great, just gently place your other hand on top. There we go, you're much more relaxed. This is going to be much easier for us to do. And then just make it more gentle than, there you go, you just tricked them into stop being such a nightmare.
Yeah, no, I think a lot has to be said as far as little techniques like that just allow you to do what you want to do.
The thing is, if they are doing that, if they are being stubborn, just reframe the whole thing. They think that this is a challenge. Oh, I bet you can't guess what this is. Well, you're right, I can't guess. I can only do this intuitively, and it's a form of communication. I also can't do this without your help. We're going to have to work together. And it's not about what I can do, it's about what we can do. And then really, that's the politest way of saying, behave yourself, stop messing around, let me have a look at the back of that card.
Yeah, I think that, that entire thing, obviously, it's, to get people to play along. And, well, not play along's the wrong word, play nice, I suppose.
Yeah, or to just because the thing is as well, if they do that, they're robbing themselves of what could potentially be a beautiful and memorable moment, and not only they're robbing themselves of that experience, but anybody who's watching as well. Yeah,
exactly, and it's completely true. Mentalism is just a form of communication.
Yeah, totally.
One person to another, it just happens to happen in a different way than what people are used to, by using lots of sneaky techniques.
Yeah, and that's the thing as well. I always play so innocent when I'm performing. I really do. I mean, I like to be so many steps ahead of my spectator, and I've got so many different techniques to get them to behave how I want them to. But I don't let them see that. You know, they say the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist. I don't let people know I have all this sneaky stuff in mind. I just play really sweet, really genuine. And I say, look, if I feel they're going to challenge me in some way, I say, look, if you want to make this difficult or make this go wrong or not work at all, then straight away you win. I'm not very good at being challenged or dealing with any confrontation in this, and that's not really how it works. This is about us just sharing a beautiful moment together, and if you don't want to do that, I'll ask somebody else.
Yeah, totally.
And really,
it just immediately takes all the fun out of it.
Yeah, exactly. Instantly kills the fun. It's like, if you want to make this go wrong, if you want to challenge me, if you want to ruin this, straight away you win.
And it's like,
well,
what's the point then?
And it's like, so if you do feel like you want to challenge me in some way, I'm not very good at dealing with that kind of thing, and it hinders my own ability to create these beautiful experiences for you. So if you'd like to maybe see me try this with somebody else, and then afterwards you can have another go, that's absolutely fine. But I can only do this with somebody who is open, honest, and genuinely willing to go into this with an open heart. And what I've basically said there is, you're not open, you're not honest, you're an idiot, let's try this with someone else.
Yeah.
Same as the, or you could even use this old hypnosis line that I put in one of my I Create As I Speak book. So the original line was, if somebody said to me, can anyone be hypnotized? I'd look at them and say, yeah, if you are of average or above intelligence, you can be hypnotized. And what you're basically saying there is, if I can't hypnotize you, it means you're stupid. Same sort of thing. Now, you can turn to them and say, when it comes to mind reading, this doesn't work with everybody, but if you are of average or above intelligence, then yeah, this should work. And I'm basically saying, if I can't read your mind, it means you're stupid. And I don't say that to everyone. I only say that if somebody's being quite challenging with me, but I don't mind doing and saying whatever I have to do and tricking them in any way I can to just make them behave. Because the thing is, it's not that I don't want to face it. Well, firstly, I'm shutting down a challenge before it even arises, but at the same time, this is my art, this is my passion, and I know it's beautiful. I'm not going to let one idiot get in the way of this just because there could be a handful of people watching that, well, this could be memorable, this is performance art, this is beautiful. And I'm not going to let this idiot ruin that. So, yeah, sometimes it can help to just play sweet and innocent and make them feel like it's not even worth challenging you or trying, when really in your head you're thinking, yeah, do as you're fucking told. I apologise for swearing, but it's kind of the attitude I keep in the back of my mind. So I'm dealing with drunk people in loud places, and they will be confrontational and challenging, but just reframe the situation, take that power away from them, and then suddenly they'll give up. And then, when they do, they'll thank you for it. The moment they relax and have this experience, they're like, their mind is blown. And it's like, how you were a moment ago, this could never have taken place. But and I'd like to thank you for going into this with an open mind and an open heart, because how you feel right now is exactly what I wanted to give you. Thank you. And then they could be your best friend for the rest of the night if you've turned their attitude around.
Right. Enough of that.
Yeah, anyway.
Let's move on.
Let's do it. So let's take a look at how you would
how it's set up for the whole
somebody
show.
wanted to do your show from start to, because this is great. With just this deck and the things you've learned in this download, you've got a whole act, you've got a whole show ready to go that just fits in your pocket. You can go and do this anywhere.
Yeah, fits in a bum bag.
Yeah, it does. And I've seen you with your little bum bag as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, show me how to put this, basically how to set this up as a show, and then how to transition from one piece to the next.
Let's do it.
Excellent.
Okay, so let's take a look at how to set all of these effects up all at once. Well, not Lewis's ones, but my ones.
Yeah.
So that you can do the sort of entire little act. So yeah, what you'll need is all the stuff that we've been playing with. You need to make yourself a double envelope or buy a double envelope. And we are going to set up using the double faces and the 5 symbols card. I've got my little rip here, so I know our sun needs to go in there, or moon, or whatever, facing upwards. Then on top of that, like so. Goes the 5 symbol cards. On the other side, star facing upwards because you look up at the stars.
You do.
And this, well, we'll place that in there for now, like so. You are searching for the cross, if it's the cross that you want to force. It's going to be written on the back of an envelope. I've got a banknote here. I've written the serial number down on here. This goes here. And we'll place that underneath for now. We're going to swap the positions of a few of these in a second. This is going to be folded into quarters, placed inside an envelope. Envelope is going to be with its flap folded backwards, and this flap is going to go inside. That's going to be placed on top of the stack. Place that there for now. And then the deck is going to be with the double backer on top. 1, 2, 3, 4 crosses. Then the corner Eclipse card. On the other side of the deck, you've got one of each symbol: circle, cross, waves, square, star. And then the final thing you need is to take out waves, square, and star, whatever symbols you want to do the swap with later on. We're going to take one of these envelopes. Remember the order, so wave, square, star.
So in that case, it'd be 3, 4, 5.
Yep. Place them in there. Stick that under the leg or in your pocket or wherever you want it to be, and you are completely set. So let's see how I set these up. So this is going to go right at the very back, so I can see the writing there, just so I remember not to choose that when I'm picking up envelopes. Our double envelope is going to be placed front side up right here, so I can see my marking here. One envelope is going to be placed in front of our setup envelope for the serial number, and that's going to be placed there. Then the deck, thank you, goes into the box, and that can be placed in front, and that is your entire show. How easy is that?
It is. And so the envelope, so this random envelope you put in front of that one, this is the one that's going to be for when they have the 3 symbols.
Yep.
And they've mixed them up for the switch, yeah. So just because I couldn't remember what that one was for, but yeah, it's for that.
Yeah. So basically you're working from the bottom. So first of all, you're taking this, you're removing the cards, place that back under there. If they choose the right one, bam. If they don't, you take this off. You've got all the cover in the world to either pick it up this way or turn it over like this. And take out whatever symbol. Then this can go like this into your pocket. Done. Now you clean here. Take out the deck. You're going to remove these 5 symbols. That can go back on there. You do the sensor routine, so you're doing all the feeling. Then you take the 3 symbols. In this case, it was waves, square, star. You take this envelope, which has this envelope here next to it. They mix these up, blah, blah, blah. They go into the envelope. Underneath the table, you swap them over. Feel. The same 3 cards come out in the order that you've said. So then you've got these 5.
Yeah, before that, you've then got the bit where you're still using those 3 symbols and they're mixed.
Oh yeah,
and then there's
the
one
third,
in the pockets.
the third phase, the free will. Yeah. So once you've done all of that, these can be placed on top of the deck. You get them to cross your palm with silver. Oops. Take a few of those. So they place the note in there. Like this. This can go away in your pocket. This is the note that you've switched in now. That can go back there for the time being. You can then pop up to find your break. Mix around the symbols. We're going to put the cross in the correct position, like so. Lift at the break. Deal, 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 deal. They drop this on top of one of those. Collect them up. Again, pop at the break. As they're turning that over, you reveal the other symbols. That reveals that. Then you've got your serial number. As they're doing that, you can toss that down on there.
So as they're doing this,
yeah, flip those over. You're now set up for the distance thing. So they mash them around the table.
There's the reveal of that, and then you move into the distance thing.
Yeah. So that's very, very quick, messy overview.
Yeah, but I think it helps.
Yeah, definitely. But that was just a very quick setup to show you how to set up to do all of these tricks together at once.
Yeah.
But of course, they can stand alone too. You can do whatever you want.
Nice.
It's your deck.
Wonderful.
So there you have it, a show in a box. That was Eclipse. This is only scratching the surface. I'm sure that when you play with it for many, many hours and start taking it out to gigs and to show friends and family, you'll be able to jazz a whole bunch of stuff and come up with some really cool routines. That's all this is, really, is a utility, a tool, something that you can build from. So I think that's it.
Yeah.
Right?
I think it's great. I love it.
Well, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for picking up the Eclipse deck. Hopefully it will serve you well. And I guess we'll see you in the next one.
Goodbye.
Toodles.